Subscribe to our YouTube channel and don't forget to press the bell icon to get all the latest updates.
This is a special library. It is Delhi's first library on climate. Run by an independent group of young climate activists, this public library makes content on the environment more accessible for those seeking it. The young activists work for Youth for Climate India, an organization raising issues on the environment. Documentary filmmaker Vijay and 19-year-old student of sociology at Hindu College, Srijani, are two of its founding members. Srijani had recently participated in the COP26 summit also.
So I think last year, before I was going for COP26 at Glasgow, I was having a conversation with my teammates as to what should be my goals there. So one of the things which came up was that there are a lot of potential funders there who would like to sort of fund projects or interesting ideas here in India. So one of the things that we were looking at was opening a climate library because we used to have a lot of reading circles, but they used to be in public spaces. We used to move from one place to another and we used to have reading circles out in the open. But of course in Delhi, half of the times you can't have it because of extreme heat or air pollution. Half of the months you can't have it out in the open and it does not reach a lot of people. Like a physical library would be able to impact more people, it would be more accessible in a lot of ways. So that's how we came up with the idea. And then after I came back, I was like, I really want to work on this and I want to make this happen.
And then we reach out to our community members and some of the researchers and the professors we know and in our network, and they send us the books, whatever they had. So we received around so far it's been more than 2 months, and we have received 300 plus books and publication on different topics of environment and conservation. So the one thing which researchers talk about for the library like this, they talked about they do a lot of research, but the research is sometimes not accessible to the public at large. So they felt like this library could be a support where where their research can reach out to the more set of people in that way.
About January, February of this year, we started working on it more mindfully and we were looking for partners and everything. And then we reached out to organizations. Because we are a zero-funded organization, it was a little hard for us. Plus, we are a completely youth-based organization, so people don't take us very seriously at the first go. So, Center for Financial Accountability, they provided us the space and they really liked the idea. They were very welcoming and warm. So then we set up the space here with the books and the bookshelves. We crowdfunded for the bookshelves and then we put in our books. There were about 60 books that my teammate Vijay already had. And then we reached out to some organizations such as Center for Science and Environment, Council on Energy, Environment and Water, with the Center for Legal Policy and other such organizations which have publications on developmental issues related to climate change. That's how the library came about.
This place has a plenty of environment-related content and mostly attracts college students, researchers, and young professionals.
There are specifically people are coming and visit the library even after the day of launch. For an example, on one of the day, 4 of the students from Ramanujan College came to library. So they were looking to read something on soil conservation, and which was hard to find within their college library. So they came to the library. They found out 9 publications on the soil conservation, and they really liked what is hard to find into the college space. They are able to find that within the library. And then on the another day, 17 students from the LSR, which is Lady Shri Ram College, came to the library. So they liked the idea. So they were here for the library trip. So we also had the conversation. So it's not just about accessing book, but it's also about having those conversations which are relevant and which we want to have with someone. And we couldn't find someone. So it's the library not just as a space repository for the books, but also as a space to have those dialogues.
So that is one group, but I've also seen there's a group like above 40 who is really interested because they have seen that change in the city landscape over the years, and they're really interested in these debates. They want to know what young people are doing. They want to read more on this. They want to be more educated. So I've seen a lot of people above 40s who have also like sort of come in.
Several people get to know about the library from social media. Some of them include those developing interest in the environment, while some people are those who have a specific interest.
So a lot of the people so far have known about the library from social media or from some network. Like so the people from LSR, they got to know within their college. Like someone was talking about the library. There was another student from Ashoka University. She came to know about library when her friend when she was here, she posted about like, this is a library, you need to check it out. So she came to know through that network. So I think two things are helping a lot. One is the social media and then is words of mouth.
So first we tell them a little bit about our journey as to how we came about, to just let them know that everyone in our team, it is almost like, I think the average age in our team is around 20-21. So they are not people who are trained in these disciplines. They are people like, they're normal like citizens who are just interested in these topics, who have read themselves and who have educated themselves and who started with a lot of these books itself. So we show them around that these are some books that you can consider for a generic reading on climate change.
It's about some of the basic books we have, plus the interest someone has at the time, what they want to read. So in that way, we want to navigate, and very soon we are creating a space which is like, these are the books you can start with. And this is some idea came from one of the visitor itself, where he was like, can we create a section where there are the 5 to 10 books which people can start with. So I think there are some books. So by having those conversations, it really helps us what brought them here.
And then we ask them about what are the subtopics that you might be interested in. Because people are interested in different aspects. Like I told you, I was interested in sociologists who have written these kind of books. So this one, Uncivil City, really interests me. And there are other books on civil resistance, on how to mainstream and decentralize energy, like renewable energy in rural areas. Those are the kind of things I like reading. But there are people who came in who wanted to read about soil conservation. There were people who wanted to read about agriculture. So it really depends. So according to their interest and what they are studying right now, we direct them to different kinds of books. So that also means that people who run this library, like me or Vijay or Lakshya, whoever is here, we are people who know about all the books that we have. Like we curated it, we know all the books we have. So that's also why we are able to guide people towards the right kind of books.
Ishita Srivastav, a young professional working as a research assistant, got to know about this library from Instagram and is visiting the library for the first time.
When I entered the library, I found that it was very colorful. It was very, inviting. It's a good space to sit in, and quite honestly, abhi tak for a library dedicated towards the issue of climate change and environment, for it to not have been here, thoda sa odd lag raha hai now that I'm sitting here, because this makes perfect sense. So I'm glad I finally figured out where the library was and I came in. So yeah.
For a research assistant like Ishita who wants to pursue a PhD in political ecology, the library is a huge resource.
एक तो मुझे देखना था कि क्लाइमेट जस्टिस लाइब्रेरी दिखती कैसे है, क्योंकि ये कॉन्सेप्ट नया नहीं होना चाहिए, कॉन्सेप्ट बहुत पहले से होना चाहिए था. मे बी वी शुड हैव हैड अ लाइब्रेरी डेडिकेटेड टू issues of climate change long ago, but since this is a new experience, I wanted to check it out. There is also a ulterior motive in the sense that I wanted to read more literature concerning political ecology and climate action and justice. So for me, this is it's a huge resource center for me. मुझे आगे PhD करनी है in political ecology, so whatever gaps I might have at the moment in terms of literature, I'm hoping that I'm able to find good books to read and learn things, more things here.
"20-year-old Vishal is another visitor of this library. A student of social work in Delhi University, Vishal says the more he reads up on the challenges our environment is facing, the more seriously he thinks about what he can do to help reverse the crisis.
Yes, it is of course beneficial to me and to other individuals as well who frequently come and visit library. In terms of why, as suppose we regularly engage in climate justice work on streets with local stakeholders, with communities, and for example, there is ongoing water shortage stress in Delhi. I've been facing it myself right now. My community is suffering from water shortage for about last 2 days now. So reading about once I come and read about that particular topic, I go back to my family and tell them this is not just an occasional shortage of water, but this is something that we need to be worried about and need to raise our voices against, and this will continue to be more frequent in the future times. So that education continues just because of the library. Otherwise, people have access to internet and all, but there's a saying that internet is just limited to certain people, and this library is just accessible to people no matter who they are, from where they come from. And I also make my friends from college come here and spend some time in the library, because I, as a youth, see the gap from youth's participation in such topics and they are least interested in knowing about what is happening around climate.
He says that his generation is going to face the brunt of climate change most. That's why he is interested in the issue and also shares his learning with people around him.
Why I want my fellows, or why I want my community or my other mates who are just 20 or 18 or 19 sometime, because we are the one who will face the brunt of climate change the most. I mean, my parents will not face the extreme brunt because they have lived most of their lives, and it's our turn to live our life, and then the future generation that will come, so they will be impacted the worst in terms of climate change and its results.
For Ishita, the library presents itself as a place where she can meet more people who are interested in having similar conversations.
Even if you're not a professional, this acts as a very good kind of ground for people of different, from different disciplines to come together and talk about and create an action plan for issues of climate and environment. तो श्योर आप अपने घर पे बैठ के सब कुछ एक्सेस कर सकते हैं. आई एम श्योर ऑल ऑफ दीज बुक्स आर ऑनलाइन, बट इट इज़ जस्ट about coming here, meeting everybody here. It is about talking to people, understanding what their favorite books are, and just getting that personal kind of interaction, which is why something like this is important.
Library gets more requests on things that make the news.
So one of the specific example, we got lot of requests as well, which are of different kind. For an example, very recently when there was a landfill fires like in the city itself, so a lot of people have reached out to us like we couldn't find more material on landfill fires. What are the reason, what are the root causes about the landfill fire? So do you have the books in your library where we can educate ourselves about the landfill fire? And these are the people who already have done their research, but they don't have anything to read on the library. So there are people who want to read, but they don't have access to the research.
In the last few days, heat waves, coal shortage, landfills or forest fires, along with the impending water crisis, have made headlines. Library has series of books on these issues.
So I think we have some books which gives a very glimpse about like what is climate change and how it's impacting different things around us. So for an example, the food weight. For an example, if there will be a temperature rise of 0.5%, our temperature is rising, we all know, but how it's impacting our crop. So the wheat production will be like 35% less. So I think how it's impacting that. So there is a book which talks about key impact on the food, impact on our health, impact on our ecosystem. So there are a lot of, so these are very brief books, like which takes you through the very basics of it.
For example, we do have a couple of books on heat waves, but when you look at heat waves, when you look at the urban heat island effect, there are a couple of factors which are like the concretization, right? There's concretization, there's our mobility system. What kind of vehicles are we using? What is our like dominant, transport method? So waste management, like ये 3-4 factors होते हैं, तो उसमें भी काफ़ी किताबें हैं. But वो जो connection है लोग नहीं बिठा पाते हैं because our climate education sucks that way, that they don't tell us what is the connection. So I think it's not just about heat waves, you also have books on those factors, like those contributory factors.
We also had a chat about books as well. Vijay shows us his favorite series of books on landfills, fire and waste management.
So this is the book. So when we go inside the book, so there are a lot of things this talks about. This talks about, like, they take the example of the cities from the different world, and it talks about what kind of waste we are talking about. So they talk about best practices in terms of source segregation. So it talks about Panaji and how Panaji in Goa, from the last 15 years, they are like segregating 99% of their waste at the source itself. So it's not going to the landfill, it's staying at the source itself. And they also talk about like how they're recovering goods from the waste and how they're selling it and how it's bringing income to the workers who are working with the waste. Then it talks about like how the cities around the India are managing the biodegradable waste. Then it also talk about the plastic waste management, how it's happening in Goa, Sikkim and Tamil Nadu. So it's pick up the best practices in terms of like different segments of waste, even the construction waste, even the sanitary waste, even the zero landfill. So what are the cities and how they are working on that. So I think there's a lot to learn.
Few days ago, there was a storm in Delhi which caused significant damage in the capital. Srijani talks about her favorite books on trees.
So Trees of Delhi talks about what are the mini climate zones inside Delhi. Like there are according to soil types and all. Then recently when there was rain and storm, right? So like as I told you before, even though storm itna zyada nahi tha, proportionately more number of trees fell, and they fell on cars and all. So now imagine if these would have fell on, say, people's homes or like, in the slum areas, it would not even have been covered. But now because it has like fallen on like all these cars in these neighborhoods, so now people are like, oh, why are trees falling? Why are so many trees falling? And for years and years, conservationists have been saying that you are concretizing the roots of the trees, and that weakens the like roots. So the ability of the tree to stand in its place is also weakened. And they have been saying this for a long time. That is what I'm trying to say. It's a long debate. It's just that news cycle makes it like, oh, now is the issue. It is not now. It has always been an issue. So I think that is also why books like these matter, because some of these books have been written a long time back. People have started recognizing the importance. Now they want to read about it because it's just, I think the severity has increased. The impact has shifted to, say, more maybe, richer or middle classes.
One more book Srijani talks about is Uncivil City, which focuses more on ridge management.
Well, Uncivil City by Amitabh Aviskar, the reason I think it's one of my most favorite books here is because it talks about access to, say, the ridge. Who accesses it? What is the aesthetic idea which guides ridge management? Ridge is essentially a forest, right? That is also something which Trees of Delhi talks about. That what are the kind of trees that should be in the ridge? What should be conserved and what should definitely not be planted in the ridge? Like, like alien species. Then what is the method? So in Uncivil City, Amitabh Aviskar talks about how, say, in the 90s, the emergent middle classes and upper classes really wanted to turn it into parks. They wanted to turn the ridge into parks. But now we are seeing that it was never supposed to be a park. You're not supposed to convert a forest into a park. So I think some books show you, many of these books will become relevant from time to time and in different contexts.
The book also talks the double standards of authorities and the government.
Towards the Vasant Kunj area, the two big malls which are there, what is it, DLF Promenade? Yeah. So वो पूरा area से ridge होता था, and like there are a lot of legal loopholes in the way that the trees were cut and the forest land. It's all built on forest land. The way forest land was grabbed, and these big malls were built there. So there is a lot of writing on this, that how there is this double standard, and there are some good books even here. This is where I read so much from actually, which talks about the double standards, how on one hand we displace a lot of people from the rich in the name of conservation, and on the other side हम like इतने बड़े mall बना रहे थे which needed a lot of forest land.
In the library, there were many posters, mainly of the resistance by people against government schemes. There was also a poster where famous monuments of the capital like Red Fort and India Gate were shown submerged in water.
So Narmada Bachao Andolan was sort of against that dam, right? So there the poster, basically I'll describe it. There are two posters. One shows that India Gate pe like there is water, like India Gate is submerged half in water, and so is the Red Fort. So the idea they're trying to, and even there's a question, would you let this be submerged? If not, then you need to save thousands of families from being submerged in the Narmada Valley. So basically they're trying to expose the double standard in the sense that people are like, yeah, that dam should be made and everything, but that land in the Narmada Valley, like thousands and thousands of acres of land which will be submerged because of that dam, and that like so many people, like it was in lakhs, the kind of people who were displaced because of that dam, right? Because it was a number of dams, not just one. It was a number of dams, and they're basically trying to say that if you won't let these big monuments be submerged in so much water, why are you letting that land and those families be submerged in water? So they're trying to show that imagery for you.
Apart from these books, they also focus on organizing talks on critical issues. The recent meet was on the coal crisis.
The idea of our library not just limited to the bookish knowledge, it also about how we can bring the lived experiences of people to the conversation as well. So there were people from the Hasdev or the Chhattisgarh who have joined us, who have shared their lived experiences out of what kind of coal mining and what kind of resistance is happening on ground. Because a lot of the information or the knowledge is not captured into the books itself, but that need to be brought to the people. So people can come here, they can read, and they can also have that dialogue as well.
Now they want to work on the outreach as well, so that the maximum number of people can access the library.
Definitely, I think accessibility can't be about just like something exists and like हमने तो बनाया था, मतलब आपने ही नहीं देखा. So it should not be. It should be working on like people should be knowing about it. What you just spoke about. Obviously, that's a one thing. So we already have like, so what we have done, because it's been 2.5 months. So in that 2.5 months, we have built a dedicated team for the library, and that team will be working on the outreach, on the events, on the another end, so bringing more books. So they will be working now.
They'll be focusing more on young minds, especially college-going students.
Very soon, when the next session of the colleges will start, we'll do a university trip. In that university and colleges trip, we have identified 80 colleges which are in Delhi and NCR. We'll be going to those colleges. And in the most of the college, our community member already exists. So they are helping us to organize a session within that space. And we are creating that plan how we can spread the word about the library in those spaces, so people from those spaces can access the library. This is the one thing, but there are other outreach plans as well, which we are bringing, how we can just reach out to more people. So we are creating those outreach plans. We are mapping ki these are the people we want to reach out, and this could be the outreach plan. We invite them to the library. So we are working on that one by one, because in the 2F half month, it's hard for us to reach out to the maximum number of people. So we are using whatever ways are available to us, and which could be the more potential way into the process. So we are learning through the process as well.
It's great to see you here. Thank you for watching our work. If you haven't subscribed yet, don't forget to click the bell icon and subscribe to Mojo Story and support independent, robust journalism.